huh? Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, to announce contestants. If you're on TV/. Alright, I have no idea if people are gonna come. So far I have 0 viewers, but whatever. Okay, sure. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, cool. Let's see what he's up to. Okay, so he's gonna do his research stream, and I'm gonna do this, and I need to get chat out, and I need to work on that, so I'm gonna get my laptop now. Oops, wrong one.
If there was a way to capture this time, I could show you pictures of the light inside my mind. If I could hold the magic, the one I don't wanna lose, I could say I'm sorry for all of my abuse. And I could stand and I could believe, and I could breathe clear, 'cause now I could leave. I could believe, and I could breathe clear. I could believe. If I could send a wire to reach you out there, I could tell you secrets we never got to share. If I could pull the letters and words from this page, I could finally realize and let go of my rage. And I could stand and I could believe, and I could breathe clear, 'cause now I could leave. I let go of the fear, I let go of the pain. Won't build a fire here, let it burn away. I could believe, and I could breathe clear.
Most I've done younger viewers than this though. Yeah,
Let it burn away, and I could breathe clear. And I could breathe clear.
okay, hey, what up, babe? What up, Doge? Yeah, if you wanna hop on, and we can like talk about the video if you want. Yeah. If you check my Discord, there should be like a stream waiting chat or something like that. Just get it. Just hop into that. Be fine. Yeah.
Hey, test.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Test.
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. So, I'm gonna get the video going again. Can you send me the video link again?
Yeah, sure.
It's like one of the weirdest videos I've ever honestly seen. It's just like legit, the guy looks like he's 2 years old.
I mean, he's like 15. So.
How the good 15? Jesus. He almost.
Oh wait, my chat was here. Forgot about that. I
Here.
don't know. I'm
Do you
just...
want to watch together? Wait, do you want to watch together so we can just go over point by point?
Yeah, sure. I'll share it on thing.
What the watch together thing? Okay, you can share it on your.
I can just
You
like
can share
share
it
it
in the car.
on Discord screen. All right, actually, I think that might just stop on my stream, so I'll just gonna watch together.
Okay, yeah, watch together, and then just send me the link. I forgot how scuffed I forgot how scuffed my attempt at streaming was.
I feel like mine's a bit less scuffed. Wait, I have to hide my thing.
See, my webcam's legit like worse than She1 Heads.
I'm surprised that she doesn't like
legit.
get a new webcam.
I think it's part of the aesthetic, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I might get video editing, so I might just get a new webcam from that.
Are you gonna post? Are you posting the link?
Yeah, I'm just logging in.
What are you posting the what here?
I'm just logging into.
Yeah, I forget how long it can take to load.
Right.
Don't you love when your computer just won't load sometimes?
Yeah, that sucks. Okay. Watch together is up. Let me just invite you.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm being. Yep. Okay. I hate the ads on here too.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they let adblock work or not?
I think my ad block somewhat works. You ready to start? Oh, nope.
I don't know. Okay. Can I? Where do I settings?
Okay.
Background opacity. It's good.
No, my ad block will only work for YouTube.
Oof.
I'm not gonna find a new one because it's gonna take time. I just use the video speed up tool to sometimes speed up ads. Oops.
That's smart. Never thought about that.
Wait, what's this animation that's playing currently?
Huh?
What's playing currently? I just see a weird video playing currently.
Just some random video. I'm just like making it just to like just for YouTube or some shit. Oh.
Do the watch together.
Yeah. Where's the chat? I'll send it. All right. Is it coming up for you?
Yep. Right.
Yep.
Let's talk.
You think of when you imagine Scandinavia? Well, if you're a Democrat, socialist paradise with free healthcare for all, high living standards, no poverty. Okay. What do you think of when you imagine Scandinavia? Well, if you're a Democrat, you probably imagine a socialist paradise with free healthcare for all.
You there? Doge? No, doesn't work. Okay.
Oh, my mic turned off. Sometimes my mic turns off. I got really scuffed on Amazon Basics mic. Okay, but yeah, do you want to continue where we are on the video? So yeah.
Wait, give me like 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. So wait, so your mic doesn't work?
Yep. Oh no, my mic works.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes it turns off for some reason because it's really weird.
All right, sure. Can you see the vid?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Also, I want to check what his sources are in the description.
Oh,
so you can keep playing the video. I just want to see
the sources. The sources, like if I remember correctly, they're mostly just like stuff like
Oh, the Economic Freedom Index. That quantifies a lot of stuff. It quantifies a lot of weird stuff. Economic freedom too.
Yeah, I feel like that's irrelevant to their point though. I think they only use the Economic Freedom Index to show that Scandinavian countries are capitalist countries, which is obviously like we both know that's true. So I think I don't really think like focusing on that point is like.
Yeah, but I think it's just a flawed statistic that I don't like to see people using because it conflates a lot of things with being economically freedom, like strong courts and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, it just conflates good stuff with being economically free.
But yeah, so they have like OECD income taxes. I have like a little script like I set out. So I don't know if you're watching this.
Oh yeah,
I have like a little script. Like I'm pretty sure I should do this. But like this is like.
So he talked about. One question is he talking about? Did he bring up the VAT tax? The most of the taxes are a VAT tax.
No, he hasn't. He didn't go in like in depth on taxes. So he only mentioned that taxes in like I think he mentioned income taxes, but he didn't mention. Let me check.
Yeah, that's a big. Basically,
he didn't.
That's a big.
Yeah, he just mentioned that they have very high taxes, but he and that's about it.
Yeah. So basically, so yeah. So that's an argument they'll use. It's not a lie. It's a lie by basically admitting the fact that they have I think a 20% VAT tax, which is insanely high for VAT tax, and I believe they have a strong land value tax.
Is that for Iceland?
But yeah. I think no Scandinavia. Yeah,
okay. I think because one of the points he raises is that like Iceland in comparison to other Scandinavian states, they have noticeably less taxes, but they still like are similar in terms of like quality or like quality of life.
So, but that's I believe that's another thing. Like with less population density, usually you'll see some higher standard of living. I'm not certain, but yeah. So most of Norway, Sweden, and I believe Denmark all have a 25% VAT tax, which is and that raises a bunch of taxes. So they'll basically try to say that they don't have high taxes because they don't have income taxes. But yeah, we can resume the video.
You imagine Scandinavia. Well, if you're a Democrat, you probably imagine a socialist paradise with free healthcare for all, high living standards, no poverty, low income inequality, and low unemployment. It's proof that high taxes in a welfare state leads to prosperity for everyone. And I'll be honest, they have a point. There are a lot of great things about Scandinavian countries, and they're very admirable in many ways. But the idea that this somehow proves that high taxes, a welfare state, or socialism somehow works, that's simply untrue. In fact...
Okay, wait, so... This seems like a big
I'm sorry. Yeah. He's going from one to the other. He's basically doing Innuendo Studios is a good thing. It's just a ship of CCS where you just keep on supplementing different arguments until you get a way more extreme version.
Yeah.
Also, I like how the way he says that it's simply not true. Like he seems like he's so assured when he went. That's simply not true.
Like. Yeah, I just feel the idea that...
Wait, can we go back? Can we go back for a second and hear him just say it's simply not true?
But the idea that this somehow proves that high taxes, a welfare state, or socialism somehow works, that's simply untrue.
Simply untrue.
I'm sorry, this is gonna be... I don't know if it's more insulting him and I kind of feel bad but we're doing this, but I mean, yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
We'll bread pill him, alright? Plan.
I like how most Democrats also supported Bernie, but I don't think they did.
Yeah, I feel like they confuse like a lot. I don't know. I feel like it's like a lot of the things like what I want to focus with the video is focus on his arguments rather than him, because his arguments are basically like they're basically stolen from this book called... Let me find it.
Oh, I'm just talking about how he does his framing too. His framing is extremely flawed too, which could lead to a lot of beliefs, like a lot of things that we don't address.
Okay. He basically... Let me just reset this. he basically steals all of like his like I'm pretty sure he steals all of his arguments from this book called Scandinavian Unexceptionalism, Culture, Markets, and the Failure of Third Way Socialism by Nima Sanandaji.
So much for capitalism encouraging freedom, I guess.
I don't know. It's
I mean creativity.
It's like
why would you steal it entirely from that book though, in a way that's that noticeable too?
I mean, I don't like he cites the book, so like that's like not like my problem isn't that he uses the book. It's just that like there doesn't seem to be any like lefty debunks of this like particular set of arguments. So if I'm gonna go through his argument, his argument is that Scandinavian countries have dropped in rankings in terms of life expectancy. Scandinavian countries have dropped in rankings in terms of infant mortality. Iceland, despite having like noticeably relatively low taxes when compared to other countries, like still manages to have like a pretty good quality of life. And
again, I think urbanization can generally, I think like urbanization has generally been shown to lead to lower standards of living, and I believe Iceland is one of like the least densely populated countries in the world.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean those are like more those are the arguments I heard, and I'm still like just learning about anti-civ stuff. Also, yeah, check the DMs. They just have that still framing amazing.
Nice.
Okay, let's continue.
No, I'm just gonna I want to go through the arguments again. So he mentions how I think I don't know about the urbanization thing. I think it just what it might be is that Iceland gets like taxes from some other source. So he mentions that that Scandinavia's relatively low infant mortality rates and high life expectancy to their systems of universal health care are funded by high taxes. However, we can see these government policies that the situation has gotten worse, not better. Like he uses.
So something. So first of all, they have a 22% tax on capital gains, which pretty high. They still also have that's pretty high for like a capital gain tax.
Sure. Like he mentioned, it was lower than like other Scandinavian countries, and like they still managed to.
Oh yeah, they also have a VAT tax of 24%.
Can you compare that to the VAT tax of other countries?
Yeah, generally they're 25%, and the other ones that's a 1% decrease in VAT tax. It's still fairly substantial, but not too substantial.
Yeah, but this is the thing with his argument, right? It's not like that despite paying like less than like it's basically like a correlation like. It's meant to be like a fault in the correlation.
Also, they have really strict tax laws. Basically, even if you're there for less than 183 days, you still have to pay taxes for during that time, basically.
Interesting.
You pay a form of taxes. And also, the high tax bracket, they also have municipal taxes, which is 14%, I believe. I don't know if that's factored into that. And children, basically, children under 16 years old must pay a 16% income tax. Yeah, I don't know if they do that income tax for children. But it's only 6%, and that's just making like a high amount of money.
Well, I mean, maybe if with like some more research, I can somehow find there's probably like some way that Iceland like does it differently.
Oh, I think they also make money off of their from fisheries. I think they have something with like fisheries or something. I think they have some taxes on that.
That might be interesting. Like that might be an interesting thing to watch.
Well, let's just adjust the point as we get there too. Just
yeah. So then he also mentions how income inequality hasn't improved, which is probably true. But
they've been getting more right wing over time too.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've been getting more right wing. So like that's probably a correlation.
And if you want to look at Sweden, right? Sweden has electoral bargaining, right? In Sweden, and so there's solidarity in wages. I don't know if they stopped doing that. But basically, they have like really high amounts of sectoral bargaining, which is the general reason they have really low unemployment rates. It was from the guy who basically made the Rune-Meidner plan.
I need to research into the Meidner plan. So basically, when was that plan released?
I believe they tried to make a plan happen in like the 70s. It's basically like best way of describing it is like best way of describing it is basically you have a social wealth fund kind of thing, right? And then the shares would be put in over time that the employee shares would always be gaining.
Okay.
That was interesting.
Wait, was that the one that they tried to slowly transition into worker ownership?
Yeah, they also had on low inflation, which is fairly good unless I'm on that Keynes game stuff, basically, which is basically you have a bit of MMT where you can accept inflation as a tool, Yeah, but wait, how can it be Keynesian theory if it wants okay, government spending, yeah. Something I also like to point out with each of the people is government spending it directly has an impact on the economy.
Yeah, so we can probably there's sources to show this as well, like that.
Yeah.
He also mentions the homogeneous point, which I feel like.
Oh. Did he really bring it up? I think the racial demographics are pretty similar. Plus the racial demographics. I don't know what homogeneity would make it.
He means culture and the Swedish, the Scandinavian work ethic. Pretty sure.
That's okay. This guy made some red flags because of the Scandinavian work culture.
Yeah, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any way to support his argument, or the argument that Sanandaji presents is that Scandinavian immigrants in the US are doing a lot better than some Scandinavians in Scandinavia. I'm pretty sure.
That's because people who immigrate are going to be wealthier on average.
Yeah, but he's saying that the Scandinavians who immigrated to the US were actually poorer than the average Scandinavian.
Really? What was his study for that?
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the book just cites it, the book that he stole it from. So I'm gonna have to find a source for that.
So now when
he also mentioned.
I don't know if I can trust it. Oh wait. Also, he ran a Cato Institute. Oh no.
Yeah, it's an IEA Cato Institute type thing. It's like ANCAP. Oh, it's not ANCAP. It's libertarian shit.
It's really dumb. Personally, for mine, I like to go to either Brunig is cool, but I've also seen some weird stuff that Brunig does. But I'll go to Brunig, and Brookings is pretty good generally for information if you want to get sources. But yeah.
Sokto
Do you want to continue in the video?
For me to look at Brunig. So I'm pretty sure I have a Brunig account.
See, I just do most of my research under my policies. I'll basically make the 3 point make 3 point arguments. Okay, my mic turned off again. Basically, I'll find I'm making a better one with the money I won from Breaking Predicted. You know the infinite leverage trick that we found out? Were you there in VC?
No, I wasn't.
Basically, the Trumpsters brought the market to equilibrium, so that you could just buy notes and it would just pay you immediately.
Hell yeah.
So I just put that money in. I'm gonna make a pretty good amount no matter who wins really.
Hell yeah. Okay, my stream made it.
Okay, do you want to continue the video?
You think Sokto will raid me?
He better.
That'd be pretty plausible. But yeah, so he also mentions that after 1970, that in recent years GDP per capita is actually lower than GDP per capita in the United States, except for Norway.
Wait, since when?
Huh?
Wait, he said since when? What time period?
After 1970, Scandinavian countries have begun to decline on the indexes that they're so well known for. This includes life expectancy, infant mortality, and in recent years GDP.
Oh, you know why that's happening, right? Why they're basically becoming worse in the 70s. You know what they kind of gave up in the 70s?
Huh?
You know what they stopped being in the 70s? They stopped a lot of their economically left-wing policies. Do not let them try to pull an argument with you. It's dumb, basically. Since the 70s.
Wait, you're cutting out.
Again, sorry. So basically, I'm gonna move away from where my quote is, from my mic, but basically, since the 70s, the 70s were around the peak when they had a socialist movement. So around that time, and then it dropped since then with the austerity rising. So you can make that argument with a lot of different places. Just generally, there's been a high amount of austerity. So do you want to continue the video just to see his points and address them?
Yeah, so we'll just watch the video entirely, Just from the beginning.
What do you think of when you imagine Scandinavia? Well, if you're a Democrat, You probably imagine a socialist paradise with free healthcare for all, high living standards, no poverty, low income inequality, and low unemployment.
Okay, I think that's
it's proof that
pretty
high
big straw
taxes
man, right?
and a welfare state leads to prosperity for everyone.
I don't like his framing of the argument. I know we're talking about his argument, but his framing is that basically every Democrat is big tech, is Medlockian, market socialist.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what like conservatives do. They like fearmonger.
See, I like Medlock, but then again, he makes it look like people actually want like 100% taxes.
I haven't researched into Medlock like as much actually. Like I know I'm pretty sure he's gonna be on Vorsh's channel, but that's what it is. And I follow him on Twitter now. So like I don't know. I'm getting into like lefty.
Okay, speaking of that, you guys, everyone watching, okay, I'll post this again. Hopefully, if we get rated by SDL. But yeah, how is the Doge Pod? Okay.
The Doge Pod, all right. Yep.
Or Doge Pod underscore. Yeah, Doge Pod underscore. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll continue the video. But his framing is just very, 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 very biased.
Yep.
Everyone. And honest, they have a point. There are a lot of great things about Scandinavian countries, and they're very admirable in many ways. But the idea that this somehow proves that high taxes, a welfare state, or socialism somehow works, that's simply untrue. In fact,
obvious problem here. Socialism is not when the government does stuff.
It's simply untrue. Can we get a clip of him saying simply untrue and like add it for like different stream moments?
That's actually a good idea. I'm gonna add that.
Yeah, like you know the bot that SDL has. You guys to get one with entirely people you debunk and just.
I mean, I feel like I don't like the kid's like 15, so I don't want to like meme on him too much.
Hey, I'm 13. I've been memed on, okay?
Yeah, but like that's justified, like you know.
Yeah.
You memeing on him justified. Me memeing on him not as justified. So in the vid, I'm probably just gonna be a lot less like mean.
Okay, yeah. See, hey, we're equal opportunity memers.
Equal opportunity, easy
shot. Okay, we can continue.
Scandinavia is a great way to show that these ideologies and policies do not work. They don't work there, and they would be even worse in America. This is definitely not.
Wait. Why? We have more money. We have more money. We have more productive capacity. I've heard them saying.
Well, he's like, no. The thing is, right? His argument doesn't seem to support like. His argument doesn't seem to support like this like result. So apparently,
like they don't have what we have. Like they don't have what we have, which is immigrants who pay massively into our taxes, who basically receive no benefits. They don't have, the productive forces that we have. They don't have the industry built up that we have. Like, if we wanted to, we could do it. And that's the thing I don't think they realize is that basically, like if you account for that, if we introduce like a VAT and an LVT, and like close some of the loopholes, you could have something very successful. But you don't, and then you have basically. We also do really bad means testing, which we end up wasting money on.
I don't know. I feel like he doesn't really explain why it like he puts an argument that like the reason why Scandinavia is like working well or seems to be working well is mainly due to.
Yeah, he posits for us to claim like it's
like the work ethic and it's like the homogeneous.
Yeah, it's supposed to be non-falsifiable argument. He's presenting basically a claim as evidence or as an argument, which he first has to justify that claim, which he is not really seeking to do. He makes that claim like it's a piece of evidence in his assertion. You know what I mean?
Like. I don't know. It's a similar argument to what if you remember. Was it Lauren Southern? Who's the Asian, like? Canadian Asian.
Chan.
Lauren Chan. Yeah. She mentioned how like she mentioned that the reason why these countries like it's the same argument pretty much, and then Sean Head was like, so the reason why like.
And it's been debunked too, like, and it's been debunked too, basically. Like cultural homogeneity does not lead to that. Yeah. Honestly, I think cultural heterogeneity. I think there's a thing that shows that's good for the economy. Because basically, first of all, you first of all import people who you don't have to pay to educate. Basically, if you fit like 16 years of life, there's money sunken into you, right? And there's also retirement pay, right? Immigrants do not really get that. That's just more money basically we're getting without having to put any money into them. Secondly, they make money. they create jobs, and then when they're paying money, it increases the velocity of the dollar, which is generally good in economics. But it's just generally showing that, like, heterogeneity and, like, strong immigration,
I'm pretty sure I read a study, read a little.
Oh yeah. Wait, that was a study in my doc. Do you just want to go over my Epic Research TXT?
Sure. Wait. Let me see if it might be a different study.
I think it's in Ultra Secret Fact.
It might be an Ultra Secret Fact, but let me check.
Wait.
Yeah. Okay. So it's in a thing called Science Direct article called "The Nordic Model: Existence, Emergence, and Sustainability."
Oh, that's what you're referencing.
I don't know if you have it, but if I recall correctly, they mentioned how the reason why Scandinavia managed to get into these policies relatively easily, is mainly due to the homogeneity of wealth and something similar to that.
The homogeneity of wealth, but that's Paul homogeneity. But that's not the homogeneity they're talking about.
Yeah, remember when
Lawrence brought that up? That
I might mention that in the video. I don't know.
You got the good homogeneity, okay? Homogeneity of wealth.
Homogeneity.
Okay. So
where even is it?
So what he's saying is being homo is good, okay? Base quote.
Base shit. Why do I even have a not safe at work channel? What was this shit?
How do we have 4 viewers with this?
We have 4 viewers? Poggies?
all of you guys.
Anyway.
Better stop posting next warning. I just see Nightbot it.
Yeah, I turned it off, so whoever was posting that's probably fine. So
okay.
Is it the crime and refugees one?
I only have an impact on crime, but if you want to talk about usually a lot of crime arguments, you'll see a lot of them they're saying it, but basically immigrants, I think Germany has seen a decrease in crime with refugees actually. And they do not bring it up of it, that basically they've seen a decrease in crime because they've actually had any welfare state built up. But we've seen it with immigration and violent heterogeneity, you've seen that tend with growing austerity. Like that's why you see that too in UK, David Cameron. Okay, basically, the way I like to jokingly say is that David Cameron? Who was the one who was the Labour Party? Tony Blair, yeah.
Tony Blair, yeah.
I like to jokingly call myself basically market socialist Tony Blair. I don't think anybody has ever gotten what I mean by that.
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't really understand what you mean by that.
So basically, I just like social liberal policies, but then also just worker ownership.
Oh yeah, I guess. I don't know. I really need to research into economics to have a fully feel.
Oh yeah, I'm reading into economics. I'm reading Piketty's book, which is very dense. I should have gotten an econ textbook, honestly, but I didn't. Though I have to teach myself this. I have a whole panel on how to learn economics. We started talking about stimulus stuff, and then we started talking about why people who talk about economics online, a lot of them are dumb. It was a pretty good discussion.
Right,
okay, but we can continue the video.
Back to the video. So, wait, I was gonna mention something. Yeah, so basically, instead of he puts forth the argument where it's cultural homogeneity. But the thing is, right? What about in African countries? Are they not homogeneous? I mean, I guess they're not. But these people would consider them bad.
No, a lot of African ones, but technically, you could say, I believe, somewhat, they do have some cultural change. But let's look at China, a growing economic powerhouse. They have pretty high multiculturalism.
Yeah, that's true.
Or I'm trying to think.
I mean, there's Canada, also Canada. I feel like China as well. They repress a lot of non-Han Chinese cultures.
I mean, yeah, they have. I haven't really.
Wait, I have a typo saying something. Is there any significance of Scandinavian socialist style policies being originally developed in a very homogeneous? I don't think there is any there doesn't. I wouldn't say there is any. There doesn't seem to be any significance. Although I'm pretty sure this study.
I don't know what effect being white would have on your amount of socialism. That's what they mean by homogen.
I'm pretty sure this study.
I'll link in chat. I just talking about how they generally use it. I don't know what the effect of being white is on being socialist, unless you like Destiny.
Yeah. like I feel like I'm pretty sure this study mentioned how like one of the reasons why Scandinavia have like managed to get into these like economies is that there was already like a relative like economic homogeneity between the peasants and like the owners. If I need to read this study again, I read it like a few weeks ago. I forgot. Yeah. So yeah, Scandinavian racism is going to rise because socialist values about supporting your people.
I think socialism actually generally decreases racism.
Well, I mean, yeah, like about supporting your people. Well, so I mean, that's not necessarily a socialist value, right? Socialist value would be like supporting all people. That's
Yeah,
why
like
that's why like most socialist parties and stuff are like very pro.
I would actually say that immigration generally I mean socialism generally lowers that because basically first of all you divide on class more than race and you stop really like dividing based on race for a more class based system. Secondly, if you're protesting or striking with people, you're generally not going to care what their race is. It's the
I mean,
whole
unless like
solidarity
you're in like
argument.
the 1940s, like US or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
where like their labor union
Usually,
got cut because racism.
yeah, yeah. You just get like BTFO because you're racist.
I don't know. Feels migrants are taking advantage of that. I mean, really depends on how you view it. I think in some cases migrants might be not really benefiting like the system, but it's like
Oh wait, is that in YouTube chat or what chat is that in?
it's
Why don't
Twitch
you?
chat. I'm only gonna stream on Twitch. Like YouTube streaming is my thing. Yeah, but like yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say the. Oh, did I disconnect?
Happened,
Up, I'm back. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
with the Fed.
I don't know, my Discord's been stuffing up. I think it might be Streamlabs something stuffing up. But
Okay.
1920 to 50. I don't know. Like equality. Okay, so Milton Friedman once said in an interview with the New Perspectives Quarterly, though it is not as true now as it used to be with the influx of immigration, the Scandinavian countries have had a very small homogeneous population. That enables them to get away with a good deal that they couldn't otherwise get away with. The 5 Nordic countries have had a history of homogeneous population. This meant that most people had similar requirements, and any policy initiative would benefit a huge section of the society, thereby making it easier to push through reforms. So yeah, that's what I mentioned. Like it
Um,
might, like the homogeneous society
that
might
seems. I
lead
don't know.
to
See, I
like
can't tell if that's racist or not. Cause I've seen quotes from like from the Chicago school that were pretty racist, and then you had the Chicago boys too, which were like pretty racist.
yeah.
But I don't know
I
if he's
mean,
being openly racist there.
it really just depends on how you look at it. I don't think that's like too far off. That it's not really like the homogeneous population which like makes the it's not the homogeneous population which like makes these countries good. It's just the fact that like homogeneous populations are more likely to pass. Like it's easier to
Yeah, because you
pass
don't have
these.
race discrimination. You generally have cultural. I mean,
Yeah,
class discrimination. It just makes I can kind of see the argument where it makes class discrimination more visible.
yeah,
Okay, but yeah, do you want to continue the vid?
yep, sure.
Not most people's perception of Scandinavia, but bear with me here. When you actually analyze these countries, it paints a very different picture than the left thinks it does. In order to understand this, we're going to dive straight into Scandinavian history, culture, and the data about their economies. But first, as always, if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to subscribe and to hit the notification
Yeah,
bell
if you
for
like this
weekly
channel,
videos
please
just
follow.
like it.
Okay, and
Yep.
subscribe. Okay. Yeah.
If you are enjoying the if you are enjoying this like really shitty like research stream, like research / script writing stream, please send a follow. Right? I need to test if like the if
Well,
like the
I gotta
follow
go. I
button
gotta
thing
go then.
arrives.
Yeah. I
I
gotta
mean,
go. I gotta sleep. Okay, I gotta sleep on my end.
alright, yeah. So I'll just continue like doing the
Okay. Yeah.
doing stuff.
Send me the clip so I can upload. Send me the clip so I can upload to my channel, please.
Yeah, sure. So
Okay. Thanks.
I'll just like talk with chat and stuff. Or
Wait,
like
I'm
I
actually
might
gonna
get
post my
some like
links.
some I might get someone else on if like they want.
Wait, I'm gonna post my links quickly.
Yep. Post your links in chat. Let's go. But if anyone else wants to come on stream, because like I'm bored. Well, I'm not bored, but it would be cool. The Discord link should be in like the top corner, so you can like join. There's like a little thing. There's like a little channel called Stream Waiting, so you can like wait in there.
Okay.
Come on.
Poggy guys, let's go.
Let's go. Also, if you can like send like a DM or some shit to like Suckdoll, like mostly, that'd be pretty pog.
Okay.
Alright. Okay, so he's gone. So I'm gonna continue watching this video, but on YouTube, and I'll like explain my
just like this one.
main critiques of this video. So
look at what exactly the Nordic model, the shared economic principles of Scandinavia plus Finland, is. The Nordic model is commonly thought of as socialism. That's why many say that it's proof that socialism can work. However,
okay, so here's the point here, is that many people think it's socialism. This isn't really I wouldn't call it the case. I mean, like, you could make an argument that people think it is socialism, so that's why, like, if you prove this, it proves, like, socialism in general. I disagree with this. I feel like, that the Nordic model just like shows what more left-leaning policy like can do. It's not really like a display of what socialism can or can't do. Because as he's going to mention, like Nordic countries like do in fact like rely a lot on like private industry and stuff.
This is incorrect. Scandinavian countries place tremendous value on the free market and are ultra-capitalist. For example, while unions have a fair amount of power to negotiate salaries, there is no minimum
you were right in that like characterization of
wage in any of these countries. Scandinavian countries also rank very high on the Economic Freedom Index. So we are not talking about
I need to research more into the Economic Freedom Index, but I'm pretty sure it's obviously it's very like capitalist leaning, and it's done by the Heritage Foundation, which is, if you don't know it, they're very anti-climate change, I'm pretty sure, and stuff like that. For Economic Freedom Index, I'll just go on the Wikipedia page, probably. It's probably here, right? Economic Freedom Index. Thanks, Raccoon. I really appreciate it. So, okay, so... Oh, someone followed. Let me check. Hey, thanks for the follow. Easy clap. So it seems so it's basic like 12 things. So it's business freedom, trade freedom, monetary freedom, government size. This is interesting because it sort of implies that like you can't have a free economy with a government, but I don't know. Property rights, investment freedom, and financial freedom. Basically stuff. There's I'm pretty sure there have been critiques by like more like lefty YouTubers and stuff. So I don't know. But
about a socialist country here. We're talking about a very successful capitalist country.
Yes, it's a very successful capitalist country, which isn't the point. The point is that the policy themselves benefit the people that are in the capitalist society. Like, you could, I don't know, I don't really see this as like a socialism versus capitalism thing. I just think it's like capitalism in the US currently versus the, a superior model which benefits people.
Now,
which is something that people should fight for,
Democratic socialists and advocates for more welfare will correctly point out that, despite not being socialist, these countries have very high taxes to pay for a welfare state. So, as they'd say, while these countries aren't examples of socialism, they show that the United States should implement a larger welfare system and pay for it with high taxes. But this reasoning, while it seems to make sense at the surface, is very flawed. Just because Scandinavian countries have high taxes and a welfare state doesn't mean that their success is because of the high taxes and welfare state.
Okay, so for this point, you're gonna see later on in the video, like he shows like alleged reasons why like the taxes aren't helping. He's also he doesn't really explain like later on he's gonna explain how a homogeneous population and like the Nordic work culture. It's more welfare versus this way. Yeah, kinda. But it's not even more welfare. It's more like how that welfare is like generated and stuff. Like you'd say, like I think pretty sure in the current U.S. system, it's like rich people aren't really as taxed, so it's like most of the tax burden goes on to middle class and stuff like that.
Something to keep in mind to understand how these factors have nothing to do with Scandinavian success is that the welfare state and high taxes are actually pretty new. This means that we can compare Scandinavia before.
So when he mentions that they're pretty new, he like
and after these policies. To understand the data, we first have to know when the welfare state as we know it today began. The answer is around 1970.
Okay, so he gives a number of 1970, but as I meant, like with this paper that I've been reading, it mentions the period from 1950 to 80. So it like you could argue that like generally it's like that change over time. That like that like 1970 number might be inaccurate in some aspects. So we'll continue.
Before 1970, there was still a very free market, but there wasn't a welfare state funded by high taxes.
Welfare state funded by high taxes. Yep.
In the Scandinavian countries, even as late as 1960, taxes ranged anywhere from 25 to 32% of GDP. This was similar to other countries at the time.
So this might be true. Now we're entering the territory of the video where like it's that stuff I have to like research. So I have to research like the current like tax policy in Scandinavia at that time. Now what I feel is what's probably happening is that that while taxes remain the same, it's just that more money is being allocated to these social services rather than like maybe in the US they did something else. And it might be, I'm pretty sure like the US at that time also had like a lot of federal spending.
Only after this time did the taxes start to go up. The thing is, not only was Scandinavia prospering before the new taxes, but they were actually doing much better.
Okay, so he mentions that Scandinavia was doing much better. You notice like later on in the video he doesn't really explain like how it's better. He uses rankings, like he uses rankings to explain how it's like how it was better at the time. But you have to keep in mind that rankings are also dependent on other nations as well. So later on we're gonna see how he mentions, I'm pretty sure, infant mortality being pretty sure some Scandinavian countries going down in infant mortality, like in terms of rankings, and I'm gonna show you why that is.
Let's go through some examples of what many people consider to be proof that Scandinavian socialism works, and then we can compare them to before the new policies. I'm about to go through a lot of numbers pretty quickly, so if you need to pause or rewind, feel free to. Let's start with life expectancy. Everybody knows that life expectancy is great in Scandinavia, except in 1960, before high taxes in a welfare state, it was significantly better.
Okay, so let's just see life expectancy of nations 1960. List of countries by past life expectancy. This should be it. 1960. This one should be. Alright, so we have Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, Denmark, Switzerland, Canada, New Zealand. Okay. Israel, United Kingdom. So, if I'm not mistaken, when was Medicare introduced in Australia? Let's see. Should be in the 60s, right? Introduction. Okay, it was in the 80s, never mind. Medicare's, yeah, 1984. That's interesting. Global life expectancy has gone down. I mean, maybe I don't know about the WHO pushing the food pyramid and that sugar isn't bad for you. I don't think that's probably just like poverty, I'm assuming. Okay, so that's interesting. So what was the healthcare in Australia? 1960. State of Australia health. Let's see. 2012, 2011, does it mention anything in 1960? Medicare, now 30 years old, so that's not yet 1980s-ish. Now we're in the research part of the thing. So, Medicare insurance model. Okay, so this doesn't really say the history of healthcare. Is this in Australia? Or in America? British healthcare? No. Healthcare in Australia, Wikipedia. Let's go. Programs and bodies. Is it history? Pharmaceutical benefit scheme. Oh, it doesn't have history, which is interesting. Because I'm interested to see the policies, like the reasoning why life expectancy was so high. Because it seems like all of these, like France, Australia, Israel, United Kingdom, New Zealand, these countries seem to have progressed into free healthcare. So, health insurance prior to Medibank. Friendly societies, so mutual association of interest. Private health insurance plan. From 1946, they introduced free public hospital treatment. Pharmaceutical benefit scheme in 1948. How were they voted out of office? We ran back to PBS, so in 1972, 70% of Australians outside of Queensland had no health insurance, most of whom were on low incomes. Yeah, so global obesity. Yeah, I guess you could say that's part of the WHO, but I think that's just generally like lobbying as well. I wish this was. Yeah, let me see if mod if he's still there. Can I mod him? I don't have more people. Oh wait, let's do that. Yeah, should be modded. Medibank 1975 to 1976. Okay, so there was like some form of like health public health insurance, and we're looking at from the 60s, which is Australia's at 12th. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to blame it back to like capitalism because I'm a socialist. Bill Hayden. Okay, so in the 1970s, Medibank was introduced. I wonder why life expectancy was higher. Let's see. Life expectancy in Australia. So it's okay, so it was relatively average. And then it goes up and becomes extremely high. 1960. 70.82. Highest gain. So is this just ischemic heart disease has been a leading cause of death? Okay. Okay, so from during 1980, infant mortality rate, mass vaccinations, effective use of that. Okay, so it's like specific. So it looks like it's specific policy, like the effective use of antibiotics, which I'd have to like compare to other countries. Gains by state and territory. Okay, that's interesting. Medibank private. Menzies Liberal government. Okay, 1966. Back to PBS, with it continuing in a more limited form. Okay. Market limits and health reform. Okay. Public success, private failure. Alright, that's interesting. Let's look at Iceland's. Yep, okay. Let's look at Iceland's health Iceland 1960s life expectancy 73.42 years. Okay, 60s healthcare policy. Healthcare in Iceland. Nordic welfare state. Does it have history? Has universal healthcare. It doesn't show history, which is a shame. CBD mortality. Unequal health of European successes and failures. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Maternal politics. I'm gonna have to look into it. Nordic welfare state in Finland. Circumscribed by other historical creation of a nation state which grew out of modernization of society. Okay, they central state functions. So does that mean they? Oh wait, no, that's the issue. That's not it. Okay, I'll look at these later. History of the history of healthcare. Healthcare systems in transition. There's no history, which is a pain in the ass. Cause how am I gonna? Three worlds of welfare capitalism, a comparative. Huh? Oh no, that's the.
Then Norway.
They mentioned that because my argument is that they mentioned that they use rankings to show the like loss between the two. Like they show, if I look at the script that I have written out, they show that in 1960 Sweden was third in life expectancy, but by 2016 it had fallen to 13th. What I'm trying to do is see like if there's any correlation to like the policies that these countries had in comparison to like other countries. So if you look at policies in 26, and this doesn't have 2016, but like if you look here, Hong Kong's up on top. I'm pretty sure in 2016 Australia was on top there, or that might have been infant mortality. But Hong Kong and like Macau most likely have some form of free healthcare. Japan, pretty sure Japan has free healthcare as well. Japan healthcare system. 30%. So it seems to be some sort of universal healthcare insurance. I'm not gonna research it right into it now. Switzerland most probably has a healthcare insurance, like healthcare universal. Yep, Switzerland's universal by. Okay, this is interesting. Oh. Thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Professor Sub 2. Hey, thank you. I don't have my sub set up, so we'll see. There are no free state-provided health services, but private health insurance is compulsory for all persons residing in Sweden. Okay, this is interesting. Compulsory coverage and costs. So I think what this might be is some form of like pseudo privatized state healthcare. So instead of like paying for it through taxes, they just like get the Swiss to buy it. That's interesting. Healthcare expenditure per capita. Yeah. Alright, so okay. Let's see here. Turkey, Mexico, Chile. Alright. So it seems like Americans pay the most, but the Switzerland, which should be the thing, relatively high in comparison to like Norway. Oh wait, they're in similar like levels in comparison to Norway. So they managed to keep the interesting. Complementary insurance policies. I have to read it all into this. Allow for coverage of some of the most treatment categories not covered by the basic insurance or to prevent some. Okay, so it seems like their private healthcare is like is very regulated. So relating to age, sex, or state health coverage. Unlike the US, they have like a regulated healthcare system. Alright, this is interesting. So maybe I can put like a little indent onto healthcare in Sweden, how it's different to the US. Maybe I can give it a second then. Oh, thank you for the follow, Fifi. Okay, that's interesting. So let's see healthcare in Spain. Oh wait, no, I don't want to read the thing. Is healthcare free in Spain? Spain has both public and private healthcare systems. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Italy probably would have healthcare, right? Italy, they're pretty active. National Healthcare Service. Wait, Allianz isn't. Allianz is from Italy? Or is that just. Okay, no. Never mind. Okay, so it seems to be free. Singapore? Well, I'm pretty sure they have free healthcare. Universal healthcare coverage. Australia, I already know, because I live here. Iceland. Iceland has things. Israel, pretty sure they do. Sweden, they do. France, they do. Canada, they do. Norway, they do. New Zealand, they do. Netherlands, I'm not sure actually. Netherlands, healthcare. Okay, this is interesting. So they seem to have a lot more freedom in their healthcare. Is it universal? Suggested that the Dutch health system, which combines mandatory universal coverage with competing health plans. Okay, so they seem to have something similar to Australia in that they have universal coverage, but you can also get like a private health plan. Okay, cool. South Korea probably does have. Yep, free at point of delivery. Martinique, France, Luxembourg probably has free. Austria, United Kingdom has the NHS, and we continue. Okay, so what it seems to be is that these countries get like a better, either a better healthcare system or like something that's like just seems to work better. But what you notice that like most of these countries benefit from some sort of like state, either some sort of state managed or state funded healthcare system, and that seems to be correlated with like the increase in the rankings. Yeah, so Australia doesn't really seem to go up that much. I mean 4 places. Let's see where Japan is. Yeah, so Japan was at 30s, and then we see here it moves up, most likely after the healthcare system. Okay, cool.
Norway had the highest life expectancy of.
So basically, rankings don't seem to indicate like any reasoning why the healthcare system seems to. It seems to show like the healthcare system being worse. It just seems like, in fact, looking at other countries, there seems to be some sort of like increase, and that correlates with them having universal healthcare of some form. Switzerland seems to be an outlier because what their system seems to be is a government managed healthcare system. So they have to buy private healthcare, but it's like very regulated by the government. So if we see here, expenditure per capita, it's similar to Norway. So it seems to be similar to Norway, so that's relatively cheap, I'm assuming. And there might be issues here, that's displayed here. Yeah, also, yeah, that's true. Switzerland is like a pretty rich country, like per capita, I'm assuming. Yeah, I think the regulation here is the important bit because how it works is like unlike the US where there's a lot more power given to like private things. There seems to be a lot more like state interference in its healthcare. So private citizens are forced to buy private healthcare, but this private healthcare is being managed. So like so there doesn't seem to be, so there's like basic insurance for everyone regardless of age or medical conditions, and they're not meant to make a profit. So it's essentially you're just beating the state into, you're beating the private industry into like being a suitable substitute for the state. And I don't think this sort of model would work in larger countries, but I have to research to make sure. All right, cool. So essentially, while yes, Scandinavian countries do seem to have been dropping in rankings, this seems to be that this seems to be just other countries are doing it better in with their own healthcare systems.
Every country in the world. In 2016,
but even then, they're still doing pretty well. Like in terms of other like factors as well, even apart from life expectancy. So it's the argument that the policies themselves, which is free healthcare, increases life expectancy, which does seem to be relatively true.
It had fallen to 10th best. In 1960, Sweden was 3rd in life expectancy. By 2016, it had fallen to 13th. In 1960, Denmark was 5th in life expectancy. By 2016, it had fallen to 27th. It's not just life expectancy where we can see these trends of Scandinavian countries falling behind. In 1960, Norway had the 4th lowest infant mortality rate in the world. By 2017, it had fallen to 5th.
Okay, this is relatively like unimportant because whatever. Like I don't think this like affects it that much. It just shows that like there's a change.
Not a big change, sure, but this trend can be seen even more in Sweden and Denmark.
So here he mentions how infant mortality in Norway had fallen to 5th from 4th from the 1960s. But again, this seems like I would go through it again, but like it seems to be something similar where countries with state healthcare and stuff see if is there any CIA World Factbook? Okay, here it is. I think they use this data anyways. Currently, how would you look at that? So yeah, so here we see Iceland moving up. So that's a Nordic country he mentioned, like he's mentioned before. Hong Kong, which is technically part of China, I'm assuming. So they probably like have like their own healthcare system. Singapore has their free healthcare. Finland has free healthcare. Japan has free healthcare. Slovenia probably does have free healthcare considering they were ex-communist. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if people can hear that, but there's someone doing yard work outside. Is organized primarily to Health Insurance Institute of Slovenia. Yeah, so they have a national health insurance institute. Yeah. What about the USA moving from 13th down to 43rd? Wait, is that a... Let me check the US. United States. Okay, States. Wait. 13th down to 43rd. I'm pretty sure like the US had I think with the New Deal. Was the New Deal after World War II? New Deal. Series of programs, 1933, 1939. Okay, so I think they probably did have some form of. Oh, okay, yeah. Life expectancy. I think that just might be due to like increasing like might be increasing poverty or something like that, or there might be like wage stagnation like contributes to it. And like I'm really interested to see if there is any like substantive change in like after Obamacare or anything like that. So that might be an interesting like thing to research. Yeah, so it seems to be. Let's see what United States infant mortality is. They seem to be like near the bottom of the rankings of the OECD. So United Kingdom with the NHS, Turkey. Oh wait. Okay, so yeah. Oh yeah. So in the OECD, Australia ranks first. Oh no, no. In terms of the US, poverty might be a factor because they have private healthcare. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, so we see here Australia, Austria, Belgium. That's Austria. Let me see Austria's healthcare. Universal. Oh, they might not actually have it. Healthcare. Okay, that doesn't mention healthcare. It probably is universal. Honestly. Two-tier. Receive publicly funded, but they'll. Okay, so it's like Australia again. So it seems to be like a dual system. Yeah, sure. Belgium. Pretty sure they do. Canada, Chile. Chile? That's surprising. I'm pretty sure they have a mixed public-private, includes private. Yeah, that's most likely. That's most likely. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'm reading this wrong because I'm an idiot. Okay, so it's literally like all the countries thought they were going to be. So Iceland, these places, Australia's at like 16th, United States is poopy, so it's 33. Which is interesting. A lot of a lot of Latin American countries got like, yeeted by the CIA. So there's also that. And I'm sure the socialist parties did like might have done like a lot of shitty things, but I don't think that's like. I think there's been like there's probably like a lot of. Now I have to research this, but I'm not that hesitant to say that there probably was some like steep increase in quality of life in like Latin American countries. Right. Anyways,
Sweden.
I'm gonna finish off this video, like comment on it, and then I'm gonna go eat because I'm hungry, and I'm probably gonna end stream there. So I don't know. Thank you for joining. If you're still watching,
in 1960 had the second lowest infant mortality rates. By 2017, it had fallen to 8th. Denmark in 1960 had the 9th lowest infant mortality rates. By 2017, it had fallen to 34th. Something else that shows that high taxes in a welfare state have nothing to do with Nordic prosperity is that at the top of these lists, Iceland is there as well. Yet, Iceland doesn't have a welfare state, and they have...
Okay, Icelandic welfare. Okay, let's look at Icelandic healthcare system. Let's see if they have a free system. They have universal healthcare. Who'd have thought? Largely paid by taxes, 85%, and to some extent service fees. Wow, who'd have thought? If you take a look at what universal healthcare means, blah blah blah, have secure access to healthcare. Again, like, his argument is like, I bet Iceland might not have like the really cool like social welfare stuff, like like really like liberal paternal leave and stuff like that, but they do have like the basic things which like people like Bernie Sanders want, which is like universal healthcare.
Iceland is there as well. Yet Iceland doesn't have a welfare state, and they have
They still have, universal healthcare. They probably do have some sort of social service system. Social security system. Yep. So they seem to provide some mutual assurance. So I think this might be like a mischaracterization of Iceland's social security. It might not be as big as like other Scandinavian countries, but that just might be due to like Iceland's, I'm assuming, lower population, and also the fact that like Iceland still does provide for like social security and healthcare, as mentioned before, which is what most democratic socialists and like people like Bernie Sanders and like generally people who want more taxes to fund, which is healthcare and like really baseline important things.
Relatively low taxes. There seem to be other factors that are contributing
and notice how he says relatively low taxes. This is relatively low taxes in comparison to the rest of Scandinavia, which I'm sure he mentioned in this comment here.
Nordic success, and that includes Iceland, and I'll touch on those in a little bit. People often attribute Scandinavia's relatively low infant mortality rate and high life expectancy to their system of universal healthcare funded by high taxes. However, as we can see, with these government policies, the situation has gotten worse, not better.
No, it hasn't. The situation is probably like relatively the same. It's just that other countries use those policies and are rising in the charts. As I explained here, we see Iceland, most of these countries seeming to have like relatively good standard of healthcare. And universal healthcare, sorry. I'm pretty sure Israel has like universal healthcare as well.
And it's going to continue to decline. What about income inequality?
Continue to decline. Maybe they might continue to decline. You really don't know. If I recall correctly, like Sweden's economic policy, like the Scandinavian economic policy is moving to the right. So that might be another reason to why it's declining. So more like liberalization in the in healthcare and stuff like
that. Well, it hasn't improved. The top
and on wealth inequality
to decline. What about income inequality? Well, it hasn't improved. The top 10% in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway's percentage of the country's wealth dropped between 1900 and 1970. Continued.
This I need to research a lot more into it because it's like I feel like I know a bit more about healthcare. But one thing I might sort of spitball as to like the reasoning why as to this
to fall through the 80s at a slower rate and is now back at 70s levels.
The one reasoning why I'd say like this is the case is that it's just generally like a shift to the right. I'm pretty sure as Doge mentioned, there was something called the Meidner Plan, and that didn't really work out. So and then Scandinavia shows like more of a shift to the right. So like maybe that's what like caused this change. So I'm pretty sure though, in terms of like it seems like, let's see if you look at like global rankings, income inequality. Oh, is it Wikipedia? There you go. This should. Well, Thank you for the follow, Abscababs. Let me just, I need to see if there's anything like let's see, EU27, OECD. Let's try OECD. Okay, I need to, yeah, I need to research a lot more into this. But I don't know if does there seem to be 15 countries? Don't care. Let's try lowest income inequality. Because I have a feeling. Okay, so here. Inequality. Okay, cool. Can I just look at the table? Okay, cool. I mean, I don't think like Latin American countries becoming socialist is necessarily an issue. I feel like there's one of the reasons why Latin America hasn't really been like that successful is mainly due to like meddling from other countries, so maybe like such as the US. Obviously, I still need to research into this, but that's what I feel might be like another reason why. Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, so here we see Slovakian Republic, Slovenia, Czech Republic, which he mentions in his video as to not having a social service thing. So that's gonna be interesting. Let's see. Social services. Okay, social security might be a better idea. That's interesting. Oh wait, he mentions this. He mentions like income inequality being like one of the lowest in the Czech Republic. Okay, yeah, so you see Iceland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Finland, Austria, Poland, like these, or most of these countries probably do have like some high level of social security. And there's probably like data this or like welfare. It's probably pretty good. This is interesting. Defending socialism amid crumbling of nations is a task. Well, I mean, it really depends on how you view it. Like, I don't know, it depends. Like, there's probably some like evidence that socialist policies like benefit. I don't know, it's a task, and it really depends on like your view on socialism and your view on like what is important. Yeah, so for welfare seems to be okay. Sweden, Netherlands, Germany, Hungary, France, relatively. So income inequality seems to be like, sure, you can argue that it's becoming worse. Huh? Hey, thanks for the argument, Wes. Sure, you can argue that it's becoming like worse in these countries, but I'd do a counter argument to say that might be due to liberalization of the economy like over time. Top of the morning. One thing which I want to point out is class. There's a word for it. It's called. What's it called? It was basically how easy it is for class mobility. Yep, class mobility. Class mobility ranking. Social mobility of 82 countries. Sure, why not? Yep. So we notice here that the social mobility, if you notice here, most of them seem to be countries with a pretty good like welfare system. And you see Australia's at 16th, which is pretty good considering everywhere else. Let's see what the United States is. Oh, 27th. So behind like before Spain. So yeah, that's another thing as well. Scandinavian countries also like seem to be the most socially mobile, and that seems to be due to their really good social welfare policies and stuff like that.
Top 1% follows a similar trend, as can be.
Top 1% follows a similar trend. I don't think he expanded upon it, but I'm hungry and I want to get through this video quickly. I don't want to like leave midstream. You know what I mean?
Taxes actually reverse the trend of income inequality going down. Additionally, almost all drop between 1900 and 1970, continued to fall through the 80s at a slower rate, and is now back at 70s levels. The top 1% follows a similar trend. As can be seen, high taxes actually reverse the trend of.
Okay, this just seems to be like a correlation doesn't really put a causation sort of thing. And also, he doesn't really show like how any particular changes in policy increase the the income inequality that's present in Scandinavia currently. And that's something I need to call him out on when I'm doing my video.
Income inequality going down. Additionally,
also I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure in Socialism the Left's fact sheet that he does have equality. Oh yeah, there's a difference between like wealth inequality and income inequality as well. So yeah, so here America's less mobile than any UK or Scandinavian country. Let's see. Higher income equality is associated with reduced mobility. So if we see here, yeah, so they have relatively low income inequality compared to like other countries, and I think that's the important bit. I feel like that them like being like slowly becoming less so, just seems to be a result of a more like market liberalization and like more shift to the right in terms of economic policy. What else does he have? Income inequality can be solved by sure. Like this seems to be yeah. So there seems to be like a relatively stable-ish trend, like going upwards, and that just might be due to like market liberalization and stuff like that. And we see bottom 50% still have like most of a share of income, while in the US this is very much not the case, as we see here. Yeah, so we have here there's a lot of studies on this, which I can probably cite to debunk his point.
All countries with low income inequality tend to be homogenous, just like Scandinavia. This has nothing to do with taxes, and just has to do with who makes up the country. Other countries, like the Czech Republic, which has a homogenous population, have very low taxes and very low income inequality.
This is something I have to research into. So his example of the Czech Republic. So here I learned pretty good. They have pretty good social services. I need to research this. There's probably like there can be a lot of other factors which affect like the Czech Republic, and he points out
equality. So income inequality isn't being prevented by high taxes. The data shows the opposite.
I'm sure I can cite like a billion studies which say that otherwise. But
it doesn't matter what statistic you look at. There's simply no evidence that things got better for Scandinavians after the 1970s.
Better for Scandinavians is interesting to use when you use rankings. Rankings don't really show like rankings show how you are compared to other countries, not like how the country is in. I'm sure if I look at the raw numbers of like infant mortality rate over time, they're probably fine. They're probably like similar at least. Was it this one? Ah, here it is. Let's go to Iceland. So yeah, we see like it slowly like decreases, you know. Let's look at 960. Yep, it's a slow decrease. Yeah, all of Europe would look socialist in an American lens, which is why, like, in my view, is that social democracy is like just better than regular capitalism, and that like everyone should try to like, even if you're not a socialist, you should try to like reach a point where you do social, like where you have a social democracy, because that's like, that should be the bare minimum of where we work off. Like even before you start to become socialist or anarchist or whatever. And I'm sure anarchists would disagree with me, but whatever.
Policies. In fact, they seem to have gotten significantly worse, and they're continuing along this path. There's another reason
continuously worse. Okay, rankings don't mean that you're worse. Like if you see here, it's slowly like getting better, and that just seems to be a trend that's happening with like everywhere else. As you see, as we look here, very bad, slightly better. Well, still terrible, slightly better. It just seems to be a global trend. It's not really getting worse. I mean, maybe you could make the argument that the rate at which it's getting better is different, but I don't know.
Scandinavia has been so successful. Nordic culture. Scandinavia.
Yep, Nordic culture, which is interesting because there's no real way to quantify this sort of Nordic culture, I guess.
Scandinavians live in a very unique region with a harsh climate, which has cultivated a culture with a good work ethic, social cohesion, family values, and personal responsibility.
This is an interesting argument. I'm sure you could like say that the culture might have something to do with it, but like one needs to remember like how is culture formed, right? So I'm pretty sure in this paper, they talk about how the if I go back again.
And they're continuing along this path. There's another reason why region with a harsh climate, which has cultivated a culture with a good work ethic.
So good work ethic,
social cohesion.
Social cohesion might be due to like it just might do like it just might do with like the relative like quality of life in Scandinavia. Yeah, you should spend a bit of time criticize the use of rank instead of absolute value. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna talk about how things are slowly becoming
family values and personal responsibility.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this paper cites how the reason why personal responsibility is like a thing. If I can. Oh, it doesn't cite it. Okay. But I'm pretty sure like these values have something to do with the quality of life in Scandinavia, and like in terms in like as well as the policies and stuff as well. See, because it's a lot more easy to like be personally responsible when you have like when it's very easy to like move up in the social ladder and stuff like that. Now I need to research this obviously, but I that's like one whole like
responsibility. This is why descendants of Scandinavians in the United States are very successful economically. Scandinavians who immigrated into the US were actually poorer than the average Scandinavian.
I'd need to research into this. He doesn't really cite any like time period of immigration from Scandinavia, so like obviously I need to like look through like US immigration records and like maybe you can find a study or two, or I can like look into the IEA book that he cited. Yeah, he needs to cite his stuff like a lot better. I need when I'm doing this, edit my thing better as well.
Yet their descendants today have considerably higher incomes than the average American.
This might just be due to like the relative like quality of education in Scandinavia benefiting the immigrants that came in, and that like causes like generational wealth to arise. And also like the US has like pretty bad generational wealth inequality between people, I'm pretty sure.
And very low levels of poverty. This shows that a large reason why Scandinavia is so successful is not the welfare state, but it's a culture that emphasizes hard work.
I mean, sure, you could say that culture like emphasizes hard work, but there's the thing that like if your hard work is being properly rewarded, and I feel that these policies do in fact reward that hard work, right? So we saw how like income like class mobility is very good in Scandinavian countries. We see how social services that can support you working hard. So I think I feel like how he's phrasing it is that the reason they're so good is because of culture. How I would phrase it is the reason they're doing so good is because of policy, and that policy that policy helps that culture to flourish and make them into like be the socialist paradise of that they think of, whatever. Don't all cultures say that? What do you mean, like having like a culture of working hard? Yeah, I guess like it really depends. I'm not really like I don't really like pay any that much attention to like cultural arguments because my view is that culture is dependent on like culture isn't really essentialist. It's dependent on your like material conditions and your like how it's formed. So I've had this discussion a lot of times in like a lot of Discord servers where I like talk about why like one of the reasons why like Muslim immigrants in um like Europe and stuff are like rioting and like they can't really seem to integrate is mainly due to economic reasons more so than cultural reasons, because economic reasons affect cultural reasons, like culture a lot more than most would expect. So yeah, my argument is that these policies seem to either help with or just like prop up these cultural values.
Iceland is.
Does the Spanish concept of a siesta really encourage hard work? I don't know. Like I don't really think that's like. I just feel like a lot of this like cultural argument can like result in generalization of culture and stuff like that.
Is a Nordic country that, like I said before, doesn't have high taxes. Yet they
high taxes in comparison. Oh wait, was this Czech Republic?
Considerably higher incomes than the average American and very low levels of poverty. This shows that a large reason why Scandinavia is so successful is not the welfare state, but it's a culture that emphasizes hard work.
Okay, so one thing I'd like to point out is that Asian Americans, right, are doing pretty well in the US, but if you notice in their countries, in comparison to Scandinavia, in terms of like inequality and stuff like that, like they're doing like a bit like shittier, you know? So like Indian Americans as well, doing pretty well, although India is not the best country.
Iceland is a Nordic country that, like I said before, doesn't have high taxes. Yet,
in comparison to other Nordic countries,
they consistently rank very high on indexes.
Because they still have those policies, they still have that policy. Those policies, they just not might be, they might not just be as strong as the other ones. They might not be as like wide reaching and as strong as like ones in Sweden and Norway.
Such as GDP per capita, life expectancy, and infant mortality, often even higher than the Scandinavian.
Okay, let's see what GDP capita. I can't speak because I'm hungry and I'm tired. GDP per capita meaning. So gross domestic product is a metric that breaks down a country's economic output per person.
Scandinavian countries. This is further proof that Nordic culture, which Iceland shares, is a major factor in Scandinavian success. So, Scandinavia can be explained by a few things. They have a very free market.
So I think he talked about GDP per capita being good in like Scandinavia because I think one of the things in Norway, it might be good in Norway is because so he mentions as well, except for Norway where they have large amounts of oil.
A culture of hard work plus individual responsibility.
A culture which is helped by these policies.
A homogeneous population.
A person. Well, yeah, I mean, sure, you can argue that culture influences a lot of this stuff. I don't really like. I don't really think that's necessarily the case because culture is because where does culture come from? It's reliant on material conditions. Where do material conditions come from? Range of economics and stuff like that. Even especially if you control for health. Well, that's the thing. You can change culture over time, like through policy. Like culture. I feel like that's a very essentialist view of culture, where like culture can change over time, like depending on like there's a reason why America like sucks in terms of its healthcare. Cultures rely on material conditions. Yeah. It's a very Marxist take, I'm assuming you're gonna say. Which it is. I feel like it is. I feel like it has some. This assumption would need to be more deeply explored. I mean, you could probably find some examples of like everything seems to be reliant on material conditions because like right if you think about it like religion has a like correlation with like your economic quality. So stuff like religion is correlated with like your income. So we see that more like higher income people are like less religious. We see stuff like we even see stuff like these. So he mentioned this before, like how Scandinavia has a harsh like environment and stuff. Like that's like another part of material condition. So like where you are and stuff. I feel like with the right policy, you can change culture over time. That's basically a given. So like you know how you mentioned how there's like an emphasize healthcare and self-care. You can have policies which like sort of try to educate the populace on it. You can increase education, which will probably like lead to better outcomes for like health and stuff. You can provide more funding into health, like preventative healthcare, and like more. There are ways to counteract the effect that culture has through like economic and policy means. But different religions will have different values and will end up in different outcomes. Yeah, you could make that argument. I just feel like see, the thing is, the poor core problem is that is about like wealth inequality and stuff like that. So like your economic conditions. Sure, I'm gonna continue with the video now.
And success. So Scandinavia can be explained by a few things. They have a very free market.
Well, they have a very free market, but they also sure.
Culture of hard work.
But they also have like very good welfare policies, ones which the U.S. and even Australia at some points don't have.
Plus individual responsibility.
Individual responsibility, cool. Maybe their culture does have individual responsibility, but one reason that where that might be where that might help Scandinavia is because of their incredibly high social mobility. So your hard work and your responsibility can go into actually give you the outcomes which you work hard for. Unlike in the US, where no matter where some people, no matter how hard they work, they simply cannot reach any sort of high ranking unless they're really lucky.
A homogeneous population and a welfare state that has only been around for a short amount of time.
Sure. Relative 40, 50, 60, I mean, I guess it's 70 years or so if we assume they started from the 1950s. But we also have to point out the Scandinavia have very good unions and stuff like that, which I don't think he mentioned.
Additionally, most of the development that these countries are so well known for came before 1970 and before the welfare state.
Yeah, because they probably have policies similar to the welfare state.
The vast majority of companies in Scandinavia were created before 1970, when the taxes were much more reasonable, allowing them to grow to their current size.
I guess you can make that argument that social democracy relies on capitalist firms to be relatively successful to work.
1970, the Scandinavian countries have begun to decline on the indexes that they're so well known for.
Well, they declined because other countries sort of steal their policies or make their own policies which are similar to theirs, and they do it better.
This includes life expectancy, infant mortality, and in recent years, GDP per
capita seems to be relying on other things as well. So we see the United States being higher. Maybe it's because of they're very good economically, and I don't think GDP per capita is that I don't think that GDP per capita is that important in regards to human welfare. But of course, I have to research it a lot more. I'm still relatively new to economics, so yeah.
Capita. In fact, the GDP per capita in the Scandinavian countries is actually lower than the GDP per capita in the United States.
One reason that might be just because the United States has more people in it. Business seems to do better there. I feel like GDP per capita has a lot more different ways that it can be affected.
Except for Norway, where they have large amounts of oil.
Yeah, so he mentions Norway has large amounts of oil. That's why the GDP per capita is high. So there seems to be a lot more. There seems to be a lot different ways that can be affected. And even then, considering the quality of life in these countries, there seems to be some sort of I feel like I would prefer having a lower GDP per capita if it means everyone in my country has managed to live a good life,
Even Scandinavia.
But maybe I'm wrong. I have to research.
Countries agree that these policies are hurting them. They've started cutting taxes and policies back. Scandinavian countries may.
Well, there's a difference between agreeing that these policies are hurting them and being why they being the reason why it's hurting you. As I mentioned before, the change in income inequality can be attributed to these slow shift to the right over time.
seem to be
that
successful.
Scandinavian countries seem to do.
Because of their high taxes used to pay for a welfare state. But if you believe this, it's hard to explain why Iceland and the Scandinavians in the United States are so successful.
Sure. Iceland still seems to be paying for their still seems to be paying for their social services, so like free healthcare, as we saw before. I'm starving. And that one reason which I hypothesize is the case for the American example is that education. So Sweden probably has like a pretty good education in comparison to the U.S. and like high skilled immigrants are good for the economy, and people want high skilled immigrants, or like people who are high skilled in general, so they get paid more, and that just creates yeah, sure, median income might be a good better like analysis of how much people got. As I was saying, sorry, wait. Shit, I lost where I was. Fuck. Oh god. Yep, Iceland still seems to have like pretty good social services in regards to their healthcare system as well. So that's one reason. And education. So firms want higher skilled immigrants, or just high skilled people in general, and they're willing to pay for that. So that creates more like generational inequality. It's that creates like more generational wealth, and that generational wealth gets like carried down. So especially in a country, and as we saw in social mobility, it's hard to sort of like social mobility is pretty low. So I don't know. That might be one reasoning as to why Scandinavians in the US are doing pretty well.
Considering that both countries have relatively low taxes.
Relatively low taxes in comparison to
Scandinavians in the US are actually more successful than Scandinavians in Scandinavia. It's also hard to explain why, by virtually every metric, Scandinavian countries are performing better.
Wait.
And the Scandinavians in the United States are so successful.
Well, that just might be due to because the relative expenses for traveling to the United States in our modern era. That also might be because, well, Scandinavia does probably have like poor people as well. Like I feel like the sample sizes probably don't really match as well.
Countries may seem to be successful because of their high taxes used to pay for a welfare state.
Well, they just seem to be like successful because of their like pretty good healthcare policy and stuff like that. So I don't really think this is an argument against taxes. But I feel like when people like Scandinavia more so for its policies, and how you pay for those policies is through taxes. How would you pay for those policies in the US? Taxes. And that's the argument that people like to force. And there's probably a lot more like studies and stuff that look into like the effect that like high taxes can have on the economy.
But if you believe this, it's hard to explain why Iceland and the Scandinavians in the United States are so successful.
Education.
Considering that both countries have relatively low taxes. Scandinavians in the US are actually more successful than Scandinavians in Scandinavia. It's also hard to explain why, by virtually every metric, Scandinavian countries were performing better before the 1970s.
Performing better in rankings, not like performing better in raw numbers.
Policy shift.
And as I'm gonna like lay this point to death, lay out this point till death. Other countries are just doing those policies better.
Look at the policies, the successful economies, and think that the policies must be causing the successful economies. However, this couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, I mean, I feel like the argument that culture creates like good. I don't know. It seems very
better before the 1970s policy shift.
Like, wow, like economic policy doesn't contribute to your economy. Like, so like it just seems very dumb.
People look at the policies, the successful economies, and think that the policies must be causing the successful economies.
Yes. Why else? Culture? Like, well, how does culture affect the like?
However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Free markets, a strong Nordic culture, and the fact that these welfare policies are not only new but are starting to be cut back is why
they're starting to be cut back, and that's why income inequality seems to be like decreasing at a slower rate.
Why Scandinavia is able to survive despite these policies, not because of them. Scandinavia is a great example to show that socialism and leftist economic.
socialism and leftist economic policy, you know, basic Nordic model stuff, which is on the left obviously, but it's not necessarily anti-capitalist as you mentioned, because they maintain a private industry. You know, if you wanted to like I guess poke holes in like a socialist thing, you should talk about how privatization is good or something like that. Like I don't think like socialism isn't when government does stuff and applies social welfare, although that is very good. Um, it's literally just like when people like manage their workplaces and that sort of thing, which I could get into, but I'm tired. I'm hungry, as I mentioned before.
Don't work.
Basically, this isn't socialism. I'm pretty sure he talks about it. Scandinavia, I already go over this in my video, and I agree. Scandinavian countries aren't socialist; they are capitalist. However, a lot of socialist ideas, such as the welfare state, but the welfare state isn't necessarily a socialist idea. I wouldn't consider it a socialist idea. I feel like it's not a socialist idea per se. It's just socialist aligned. Do not, such as the welfare state, do not work well in Scandinavia, contrary to popular belief. I don't think this video debunks the welfare state not working in Scandinavia, especially because even then these countries have high rankings, and other countries which sort of emulate these policies are also in high rankings. So it's sort of like proving my point, actually.
It shows how high taxes to fund a welfare state end up hurting the people instead of helping.
Hurting the people, as we see. Oh, I don't have it, but as we see, hurting people in terms of rankings, which is irrelevant because you know that's not the rankings compared. Like, it's a comparison between countries, not like an objective measure of how the people in a country are doing.
I'm Sam Gersman, and thank you for watching.
I'm Tyza. Thank you for like sticking around in my shitty stream. So I'm gonna start reading chat. So who's still here? Oh, okay, so this person's fake electrical longboard. No idea who this is. Hello, what up? Welcome to stream. I'm gonna stop right here because I'm hungry, and I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna start like I'm probably gonna like take a break from this for like an hour or so, and I'm gonna continue like researching. But I'm probably not gonna stream that. So thanks for watching this stream. You know, even though like I probably know most of you on Discord, it's still pretty cool that you stuck around. Thanks for everyone who followed, and yeah. So does anyone have any last points to talk about in chat? I'll give him like a minute or so. I'm pretty sure my internet's like slow, so. How long have I been streaming for? Is it like the Twitch stats? I'm going to assume no one has anything else to say. Oh, I have one viewer now. Okay, cool. Alright, maybe it's slow. But, yeah. So thank you for sticking around. I don't know when the video is gonna be up. I'm hoping to be like early December, so that's cool. And yeah, see people soon. I'm getting a face cam eventually once I get money, so that'll be fun. All right, see ya.